Lima Gobiwi is really a great example of servant leadership, said Elizabeth Halpin, Associate Dean of External Affairs. This talk will particularly strike a chord with the university's mission and serves as a great example to students of how one person can affect change. That's right. One person can affect change. Standing as a beacon of peaceful leadership in a time of turmoil, Gobiwi led the Women of Liberia Mass Action for Peace, which was a critical part to the end of Liberia's civil war. Gobiwi encouraged thousands of women to protest in order to reconstitute peace talks and end the war that ravaged the country. According to Halpin, one of the most interesting protests Gobiwi orchestrated was the sex strike. She encouraged women to deny their husbands sex until peace talks could be resumed. As a result of this effort, the civil war ended, and shortly after, Africa's first female head of state, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, was elected. To celebrate the School of Diplomacy, Peace and Conflict Study Research Center, Lima Gobiwi's appearance at Seton Hall will allow students to hear experience firsthand and learn what it takes to be an effective leader. You see how powerful women can be? Really and truly? She encouraged women to deny their husbands sex until peace talks could be resumed. And you know what happened? As a result of our efforts, the Civil War ended, and shortly after, Africa's first female head of state, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, was elected. Wow. Just goes to show you, ladies and gentlemen. Goes to show you. Let's see what else is happening over at Seton Hall University from the Setonian. New campus security and safety report release. The latest campus security and safety report was released. While there were no reports of rape, fondling, or statutory rape reported for the 2013 calendar year, it is important to understand the Act only records assaults that have been reported to the Department of Public Safety and that occur within the limited vicinity of campus, as well as was reported previously by the Setonian. The 2012 report stated 3 forcible sex offenses on campus, but that is not a category this year. Instead, rape, fondling, statutory rape, and domestic violence are key assault reports. According to the report, there were 4 incidents of domestic violence reported on campus, one of them in a residence hall. In addition, 4 stalking reports were documented, again with one said to have occurred in a residence hall. The report also stated referrals for 209 on-campus liquor law violations for 2013, 35 on-campus drug law violations, and 1 on-campus weapons law violation. These were not arrests. For arrests, there was 1 liquor law violation on campus and 3 on public property, 1 on campus drug law violation and 2 on public property, according to the report. It was also reported there were 2 on-campus burglaries, 2 motor vehicle thefts, and 1 on-campus robbery, while 3 were on public property. The Setonian will have a more detailed analysis of the 2014 security report in future edition. The full report is available on the Public Safety and Security page on the Seton Hall website. Now, I don't think I am going to go for a break because we are having some technical difficulties with the audio. So I'm just going to continue. And yesterday and the day before that, we brought you a story about, We brought you a story about a gentleman in Dallas, Thomas Eric Duncan, that he did not get the experimental drugs. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, today that gentleman died due to the Ebola. Ebola patient Thomas Duncan dies in Texas, never received miracle drug. Thomas Eric Duncan, the first person diagnosed with the Ebola virus on U.S. soil, has died, sparking tons of controversy surrounding his treatment. The 40-year-old man from Liberia is not the first person to be treated for Ebola in the U.S. Prior to Duncan contracting the virus, 3 white Americans contracted the illness while working in West Africa, which is facing what is perhaps one of its worst Ebola outbreaks in history. Dr. Ken Brantley, Dr. Bridget Sacra, and aid worker Nancy Wrightball are still alive after receiving experimental drugs that may have a chance of carrying the Ebola virus. Brantley and Wrightball were treated with a drug known as Z-MAP, which was never given to Duncan. Sacra was treated with a different drug called TKM Ebola. Instead of Duncan being another success story for either of the experimental drug, he was pronounced dead around 8 a.m. Wednesday at the Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas. He was kept in isolation at the hospital since September 28. Hospital spokesman Wendell Watson said officials were left with the profound sadness and felt disappointed after Duncan passed away. Despite their claims of being disappointed and saddened by the loss, many wonder if everything was done to save the Liberians' native lives. While white Americans took their journey on the road to recover with Z-MAP or TKM Ebola, Duncan was treated with Brincidofora. The decision to use that drug rather than the other more successful experimental drug left some medical experts scratching their head. Thomas Giebert, who developed TKM Ebola, said he was confused by the hospital decision. "I never heard of this drug being used for Ebola before," he told the USA Today. "It works in cell culture." That's great. A lot of things work in cell culture against Ebola. He then explained that while the vaccine worked in cell culture, it failed to save any of the animals that were diagnosed with the virus. Earlier this week, even Duncan's family questioned why he was not being treated with Z-MAP drug. Then there appeared to be different explanation why Duncan was not treated with Z-MAP. Center for Disease Control and Prevention Director Tom Frieden told reporters that Duncan's condition was too poor to use Z-MAP, which have been known to cause flu-like side effects. Shortly afterwards, however, another explanation surfaced via Dr. Anthony Fauci of the National Institutes of Health. On Sunday episode of Face the Nation, Fauci said the supply of Z-MAP had been depleted and there was none left to treat Duncan. Many grew skeptical of the two different explanations, and conspiracy theories spread like wildfire. Not only was Duncan's treatment suspicious, but his diagnosis was bizarre. When Duncan first sought medical attention on September 25th, he was given antibiotics and sent home. The hospital admitted that Duncan revealed he had recently returned from West Africa. Despite Duncan exhibiting symptoms of Ebola and disclosing information about his travels to West Africa, he was sent home as if he had nothing more than a common cold. During that time, he came in contact with at least 50 people. According to the CDC, only 10 of these people have even a moderate risk of contracting disease, and none of them have shown any symptoms as of Sunday. So, the question here is, you are left to ask these questions. Why not give him the same treatment that the others had? I mean, everybody knows about the drug called ZMAP. By the way, I'm not a doctor. And sometimes, the doctors knows best. But there is something suspicious about this situation. And we told you about this situation 2 days ago, when he was not receiving any medicine at all, and the health officials couldn't get their story straight. So here is a poor guy who maybe there's a course for ZMAP. Maybe he couldn't afford it. Or maybe he's being used as an experiment to figure out if that other drug worked. Now, if he was used as an experiment, they now know that the drug doesn't work. But what about his family? What about this guy's family? They're all clamoring for the officials to at least try the drug ZMAP, and the lame excuse that they could come up with is that there was no more ZMAP left to treat this guy. It's unbelievable that we allow these type of things to happen in the United States in this day and age. That's why you wonder about some of these theories, conspiracy theories about the Ebola virus outbreak. Now, we told you before the Ebola patent is held by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And it has fueled one of the most popular Ebola virus conspiracy theories. The U.S. government created the disease. So here we have this gentleman fighting for his life. He didn't even have a fighting chance, ladies and gentlemen. He had two chances, slim and none. And unfortunately, they didn't even want to give him a chance of survival. While the other three individuals still alive and getting these different drugs. Sometimes these things just make you wonder over and over and over. Let's try. We're going to try and go for a short break, and we'll be right back.
Do you want your kid to run faster with better running form and conditioning for his or her sport? Then Running Development Academy is the place for him or her. Our training packages fix their form and make them run faster. How about training to run a marathon or just run faster in your respective event? Maybe you just want to learn to run properly and lose weight in the process. Our trainers, a former 800 meters track Olympian and an 8-time world record holder in Masters Track and Field, will get you there. Don't delay. Sign up today at runningdevelopmentacademy.com or contact us at 973-868-1444. That's 973-868-1444 to learn more.
Okay, we are back with you. It's in the Village with Anselm and Marjorie on the South Orange Maple Online Radio Experience. Coming to you every Monday through Friday from 8 to 9:30 p.m. That's Monday through Friday from 8 to 9:30 p.m. You can reach us here at 973-327-3626. That's 973-327-3626. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/SoMore Radio. That's facebook.com/SoMore Radio. You can tweet us at SoMore Radio. That's at SoMore. Yes, the Huffington Post always have some good stories. And this is an article today. This school is way into diversity on its promotional materials anyway. They're talking about school. This is from the Huffington Post, ladies and gentlemen. This school is way into diversity on its promotional materials only. So what the gist of the story is that there are many schools out there who are promoting diversity. Listen, and I say this over and over. We promote diversity in South Orange and Maplewood. We do have diversity in South Orange and Maplewood, right?